In the name of Amen the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord, and Amen we trust as the Republic of Mentellect, the real 144,000 is being gathered in this day and time, the Mentellians. Menzeka Aminun to all of my Mentellian brothers and sisters out there, registered members of the Republic of Mentellect, and to all future Mentellians who have yet to find their way home to the Republic of Mentellect, which is Amen's community. I send greetings out to you, and I send peace out to you in our Mentellian language by saying to you, Menzeka Aminun. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual NUBEN MENKARAYZZ, and this is Mentellect Radio, and tonight we're going to be discussing white supremacy or pale degeneracy. Before I start, I want to apologize to you all because I usually start this broadcast at 10 o'clock on the dot, but in me programming the broadcast, I was going so fast I forgot to actually program the time for the 120 minutes, so there was no time count. So after the song played at 15 seconds, I was like, for the amount of time the song played in the beginning of the broadcast, it just went right off. That's my fault. Right? It's not blog talk radio this time. It's my fault. So I picked it back up and restarted it for 10:30. So just so you know what happened, but we normally going to always be on at 10 o'clock. So tomorrow will be 10 o'clock. Yesterday was a good class, very excellent class. Those of you who didn't see it, it's going to be put up on YouTube and on one of the various Mentellect channels. We're trying to definitely expand the channels and whatnot, bring back a lot of the old broadcasts and everything, because our channel got took down, so we had to, open up and redo several channels. But with that being said, white supremacy, that's being spread heavily, big time, and I hear a lot of these so-called black woke conscious people on YouTube who constantly repeating this white supremacy thing, meaning that Caucasians, practice this way of thinking or way of life of supremacy, or they see themselves as supreme people. And, it just seems like to me that the people that acknowledge that are the people who are up under that. And I said this before, you cannot have any form of supremacy, or at least white supremacy in their mind. You can't have no real form of supremacy, if you focusing in on other people. You can't have no real supremacy when you focusing in on other people. It's so-called white supremacy, which is really white superiority. They practicing white superiority, not white supremacy. They're practicing white superiority because, see, white superiority has a bottom half, which is inferiority. But who fills in the spot for the inferior spot? That's the so-called black race. The white race practices not white supremacy, but white superiority. They're pushing white superiority, not white supremacy, in the minds of simple-minded black people, so-called black people, and the limited thinking of simple-minded and limited black people. They think that white people are practicing a form of supremacy. There's a difference between supremacy and superiority. The difference is that supremacy has no opposite end. It has no downside, right? There is no polarity to supremacy. There is none. There is a polarity, however, to superiority, and that's inferiority. You have to, and this is what your so-called white people, your Caucasians, they practice white superiority, right? This is what they practice, not white supremacy. They practice white superiority because, again, the only way that people will believe or think, I'm not even going to say think, but believe, which is a lower level of thinking. The only way people believe that these people, these recessive people, these recessive genetic people, these unnatural people are superior is that they have promoted to the world that everybody beneath them or everybody who's not them is inferior. So they have to take the most dominant people, right? The most dominant people, the people with the most dominant genetic, which would be your so-called black race, aka bronze race, that would be them, and they have to convince them that they are inferior. And when they convince you that you are inferior, you're going to then look at them as superior. but you take superior as supreme, and it's not. Because if they got to spend all this time convincing you that you are inferior, they have to make films, music, radio shows, all kinds of things, all sorts of things in the media, billboards, books. They had to do all these things to convince you so-called black people, because like I said, they had to create a black race. They had to create that in your mind that you're black people, that you are inferior to them, right? And that they are therefore superior. Because again, they have to convince you that they are better than you. They have to convince you of that. You know why they have to convince you of that? Because they really don't believe what they telling you. They have to get you to believe it, because the real strength is in getting the people who are the strongest to acknowledge a lesser people, or to acknowledge a weaker or recessive people, acknowledge that they are greater. You got to get the top people, the most dominant people, which would be your so-called black race, to concede, or to say that, basically hand over their spot. Because in the real world, in the natural world, where there's natural order, the so-called black race, aka the bronze race, they would be the superior people. They would be the superior people. In the minds of the so-called Caucasian, the white people, they really see you as superior people. Or, in their mind, supreme people. They see you as superior people or supreme people. Right? How you know that? Because in all of the things that they look up to, sports, things like that, football, basketball, the physical things, they'll quickly acknowledge that so-called black men, so-called black people are the best athletic people, best athletic-wise, best physically-wise. Physical, that they'll acknowledge that you are the best. And again, this is how they acknowledge who's the strongest, by who's physically strong, not by who's really mentally strong, but who's physically strong. See, they have to even con people into believing that they're mentally strong. They're much mentally stronger than you. But again, you cannot have a recessive people as a dominant force. You can't have recessive as a dominant force. They by nature are a recessive people. They by nature are a recessive genetic. So therefore, they want your place, and they have always wanted your place. But they got to get you to concede or give up your spot as the dominant race, as the dominant people. They have to get you to give it up. So they have to do things to convince you, and they have to push it over and over and over in your mind that you are less than them. They have to do it all. It's a mind game. It's a mind trick. They get all these beautiful dominant people with dominant genetics, you so-called black people, because you are the most dominant race on the planet. You are the most dominant genetic on the planet. Your genetics are the most dominant and the most strong on the planet. This is why when they say you mix with a so-called black person, any mix from that, they consider that to be black. When you mix with a so-called black person, they consider that genetic to be black. You change people's genetics forever. You change everybody's genetic forever once your blood gets involved. I don't care if they East Indian, Asian, Caucasian, whatever. You change everybody's genetic once your genetic gets involved with theirs. And it might not be fully strong as it once was when it was just coming from you as a so-called black person, right? But the genetic has changed forever. It damn sure ain't white no more, or anything else. You have basically taken away or added to their genetic. You have now erased their genetic somewhat, and they have basically weakened yours. But you have definitely changed the genetic structure and the gene pool once your genetic is added. So, again, they have to get you to accept that idea that the recessive genetic of these Caucasians is supreme, that is superior. They have to get you to accept that. And you're looking at the fact that these people are in charge of everything. You're looking at they're running the military, the government, the court systems, everything. They're making the decisions over pretty much everybody's life in this society and on the planet. So you look at that as being supreme or superior. You see that as power. You see that as power. However, that can all change within the blink of an eye. All that can change within the blink of an eye. Keep in mind that the ones who created this planet, the powers that be, the real ones that created everything that we see in existence, they decide who will be in charge now and in the next. They decide that. They can change the whole power structure just like that overnight. They can submerge governments underwater, destroy governments. They can send messages every time to break down governments, break down societies, right? And bring up other people in their place. So who's the real power? Who is the real power? There's a difference between being in control of something and in charge of something. In charge means somebody puts you in power, puts you in charge. And control means that you are part of the greater picture, the greater powers that have created everything. That's what puts you in control. And I've been trying to tell my people continuously that we have the keys over time if we are together collectively to be in control, because we are part of the projection that was part of everything that created on this planet. We are part of that projection that caused the creation of everything from brightness to light onto this planet. We are part of that conversion of everything that was brought here that we created on the surface level of this planet, as above, so below. As above, so below. That's the natural order of things. However, things are out of order because the ones who are in power don't match the ones who are actually in control. I'm going to say it again just in case you didn't understand me. The ones who are in charge do not come into alignment with those who are in control, meaning the Amen race are in control, or the Amen are in control. The humans are in charge. The Amen are in control, but the humans are in charge. That's off. That's out of alignment. That's out of alignment. That is out of alignment. It's supposed to be the Amen in control on high, and the Amen in control on this level, in this three-dimensional realm. But we have to get to the three-dimensional realm as a collective people, because again, the three-dimensional realm is a state of being, a state of collectiveness. That's the three-dimensional realm. When we recognize ourselves as one race, as one people, as the so-called bronze race or the bright race, as we acknowledge ourselves as beyond this black nonsense, right? When we come together under one name, one mind, one body, one soul, one direction, then we enter the third dimension. That's why I said black people are still in the two-dimension as individuals. They don't know who they are. They're in the two-dimensional space. They have not become three-dimensional thinkers. That's why they won't come together. Everybody else is on the three-dimensional level within the human race, except for the so-called black race. Because if they were on the three-dimensional level, they would know they are not part of the human race, that they are actually part of the dominant race, which is the Amen race, which is above the human race. And that would be when you would start receiving fourth-dimensional transmission to know who and what you are, that you are not like these other races of people, or this human race of people, these recessive genetic beings. Because again, I said this yesterday in class, white does not mean pale. You know, the white race is the human race. I said this before, the whole entire white race is the human race. Right? The white race is not just the pale Caucasians. The white race is the entire human race, which is your East Indians, your Asians, your Arabs, right? Your Caucasians. All of those people basically with dog hair with the fur. All the people with dog hair with the fur that's growing out of their head, they grow fur. That's your white race. That's your white race. Okay? That's your recessive race. Because white transfers as light, right? And the light equals the light of creation here on this planet, because the light equals creation. Light is creation. Okay? Light is creation. Brightness is power. And the power gave way in this three-dimensional realm to the light. Brightness gave way to light in this three-dimensional realm. From the fourth dimension down into the third dimension, light was about, and it is the creation of your human race. That is the creation of your human race. This is why I told you before, notice there's no racism amongst the white man with the East Indians who are dark-skinned people now, right? They're dark-skinned people. And your Caucasians, your pale Caucasians, they will refer to the East Indians as they're being related to them people, because even the word Aryan is a Sanskrit word. It's an East Indian word. So even the white man, your Aryans, they bear witness that their origin comes through the East Indians, that the East Indians are the first of the human race, your East Indians, right? And from the East Indians came your Asians and your Caucasians and all the other recessive genetics. But the first recessive genetic was the artificial one, which was your East Indians. They were the first creation. But we were the ones creating them. We came before the human race. We so-called black people, people in darkness, people in a state of ignorance, because even that's not even a real state. Black is not even a real state. That's a state that's the absence of light or darkness. Because as I said, after first came the brightness, then came the light, then came the darkness. So that's not even really a state of being. That's a state of void. That's a void state, right? That's beneath the light. That's beneath the light. The light is the zero level of intelligence here on this planet, or the lesser level of intelligence on this planet. So if you something beneath that, that means there's no light, there's no intelligence there. The light is the ongoing intelligence in this three-dimensional realm. But we're supposed to be beyond that as the bright race, receiving our transmission from the fourth dimension. We're not supposed to be of the black race, because again, black equals nothing. Black equals nothing. All right? Black equals nothing. It is absence of light. Even the artificial light, which is the motion and the movement or intelligence or the, intelligent for this three-dimensional realm. So they put us, or we allowed ourselves to be put beneath the recessive people. We've been taken from our space as the bright race, or as the brighter race, the solar receptive race, and placed under the light. Placed under the light. Darkness. Placed under the light is ignorance. This is why I say the so-called black race, they have to go to the so-called white man for the one of all things, even intelligence, even knowledge, because that is the greatest desire that you have to do. You have to go to them for intelligence, for I should say information. You have to go to them to, receive education, receive training, receive instruction. You have to go to them for the one of all things, when in reality you were providing all of this for them and the whole planet from your level of brightness before you were disconnected from that. So we fell from the state of brightness past the state of light and into a state of darkness. That's why we're allowing people to call us black people, or black people are allowing themselves to be called black. You see? And who they allowed to call them black? Who did they allow to define them? The so-called white people, the recessive people. You allow, as dominant people of the bright race, you've allowed recessive, pale-skinned people, recessive beings, right? Recessive humans to define you, to tell you what to do, to govern you, to control your way of life. You have let these recessive beings control you. You have let recessive beings control you. Right? And how are they controlling you? Because you look to them as power. And in this state of where so-called black people are, in a state of darkness, they have become the power over you. Because you have been disconnected from the bright power. You have been disconnected from the bright power, which is the fourth dimensional power and beyond, which is what this earth is supposed to be in alignment to, because as above, so below. If we were the first ones projected here, the first ones to walk the earth, then obviously that means we came from a higher place. And we on this planet, right? So if we came from a higher place of power and now we are on this planet, why are we not the most powerful people on the planet? Why are we not the most dominant people on the planet if we are the first ones on the planet? That don't even match up. How is it that our creations, the recessive ones, the weaker ones, how are they in power? That don't even match up. That don't add up. The first people on the planet should not be the last people on the planet. For those of you who may not understand where I'm coming from, the first time listeners, the first people that projected here, the ones with the strongest genetics, the strongest dominance, that should not be the last people on the planet. You should be over everybody. You should be in control of all these governments on the planet. But why is that not happening? Why is that not happening? Why is that not happening? Because again, you have, by accepting that you are black people, By accepting that you are a black race of people, which is no such thing, by accepting that you are a black race of people, you would basically put the white or the light people, the people of creation over you. You have put the recessive people over you, and you as a dominant have went under them. So now, but being that they put the dominant people under them, now they have a strong foundation. They have a strong foundation. They have a strong foundation because you are their foundation. They put the strongest people up under them. Why you think they always trying to break you down as a people? They ain't trying to break down the East Indians, the Arabs, or the Asians and make their children wear dresses. Why are they trying to break you down? Why are they always focusing on you? Why are the police always coming at you? Why is there so much back and forth between you? Because they know that you are the strongest people on the planet and that you potentially can take back power on the planet as the strongest people. This is not a thing of who's got the darker skin, because again, your East Indians got dark skin, your East Indians, your Mexicans, your Asians, but when they come over here into this country, the white man already gives them instant white status, meaning that he tells the Mexicans, the Asians, the East Indians, and all these other people, the people with the dog hair, with the fur, he tells the people with the recessive genetic, the dog hair, the fur, that they are white too. But white means you are part of the creation. We are acknowledging you as part of the creation like us. And that you as white people, part of the creation, the people in the three-dimensional realm who are in charge on the three-dimensional realm, you can come up with us and we can keep these black people down because they don't know who they really are. They think they black people. If we keep these dominant people down, if we tell them that they low, that they ignorant, that they inferior, if we tell them enough, if we tell them this enough wherever they go, then they're going to believe it. And this is how we draw our power from them, because we get them to give up their space of power and prominence as that dominant race of people. So that's why I say, if you notice, you go into all these different, you look on into all these different countries, I don't care where it is, from these European countries, these Asian countries, all over the planet, there's racism against so-called black people, wherever you go. But like I said, the most telling thing is you can go down south right now, and there have always been East Indians that live down south. Why don't they treat the East Indians like black people, since the East Indians are just as dark? You know, they definitely not the same skin tone as us. We got a different tone, but they're dark like us. So if it was a thing of darkness, why don't they ever bother the East Indians? Why don't the white man, the Ku Klux Klan, and them ever burn crosses on the East Indian people's places? They got hotels down in Mississippi and things like that. Remember that movie I brought out, Mississippi Masala? Mississippi Masala, you had East Indians owning hotels down there, liquor stores, and all kind of stuff. And you never seen the Caucasians bother the East Indians or the Mexicans or the Arabs. You don't never hear about them bothering them, because they recognize them as this part of the same creation as the Caucasian. They know you're not part of the creation. You see, you're not part of the creation. No matter how much you try to act like you're part of the creation or that you came from the same place they did, you're not part of the creation. Everybody knows that you're part of the projection, that you're something more dominant, something greater. You're the only ones that's stupid enough to not know that. You're the only ones walking around in darkness, so-called black people. You're the only ones walking around in darkness and in ignorance. That's why the Asians can sell your women all kinds of animal fur to put on top of their head, and the black female will think she look good like that. She don't like her natural hair, her strong, dominant hair, because the Asians, the Caucasians, they could get you to wear their hair on top of their head. Because when they get you to do that, notice that, and they get you to do that on television, because when, you know, it was a time where, you know, where the bronze women, the so-called black woman, was trying to wear her natural hair, they didn't want you doing that because that was a sign of dominance. Your hair was a sign of dominance. This is why they had a problem with it. When your hair was in its natural state, it was a sign of dominance. So they'll make the so-called black man cut his hair down real low, right? Or they'll make the black woman put dreads in her hair or put a perm or a wig on her head to look like a white woman, because they want you to bow down to them. Once you do that to your hair, it's like you're bowing down to them. You're bowing down to them as the dominant race. You bow down to them, and you as the dominant people have bowed down and have let them step into your place as the dominant people. But that's that. Like I said, that don't even go together. Do that even make sense? Like I said, how is it on this planet that the most dominant people with the dominant genetics, how are they not in rulership? How is it that the recessive people with the recessive genetics, with the artificial genetics, how are they in charge of anything? How does that even work? Does you tell me, does that make sense? Does that even make sense? From a pragmatic level, from a logical level, the most dominant people on the planet are the most powerless people on the planet. Something's wrong there. They had to convince you to give up your seat of power. And they needed all of these people. They needed the full uniting of all of these humans to go against you, so-called black people who are not part of the human race. You are part of the almond race, the race that created the human race, that predates the human race, the supreme race. They had to get you to give up your power. And you gave up your power. You gave up your power. You let that lunar energy override the solar energy. You let their lunar energy override your solar power, or your solar power. You allowed that to override you. That's why y'all walking around here as black people. You allowing people to call you black, and like I said, you could tell that so-called black people don't even realize what's going on, because again, they walking around thinking their skin is really black. They don't even know why the white man calls you black people, or everybody calls you black. That means that you are absent of light. You are ignorant. You don't know who you are. And while you in a state of ignorance, these people are drawing power from you. They're drawing energy from you, because the power that's supposed to belong to you on this planet, the power that's supposed to naturally go to you as that dominant race of people, is going to everybody else. That's why they're in power. They feed off of your energy. You have to be at the bottom so that everybody can be on top of you. They have to keep you at the bottom so that everybody else can be on top of you. That's how that works. They stay in power. They keep their place of power by building their house or their foundation and using you as their foundation. Because how was this country of America started? Off of slave labor. If it wasn't for slavery, there would be no American government today. If it wasn't for slavery, because slavery got the economy going here. Slavery got the economy going. Slavery put the American government in the game of world finance. The elite started dealing with America once they had slave labor, and they had cotton and all kinds of other things that they can trade with the rest of the world going out. So once America got into the economic field with all the other countries and started to build up, they couldn't have did that without slave labor. People working for nothing. So it was set up just like a corporation here. So they used the most strongest and dominant people, the ones who could do the work, because if it was up to Caucasian people doing that work, they couldn't have did that work. They wouldn't have did that work. They needed slaves to do that. People that they can all get together and work, right? Get together and set up a system and work that system on these people. And like I said, people always talk about the so-called Indians and all that. Like I said, the white man over time, he convinced the so-called Indian that you human just like us. You just like us. You got the same type of hair like us. You got the same kind of fur like us. You were part of the white race as well. This is why the so-called Indians was helping the white man keep our people in slavery, because they all got that same animal hair, that same animal genetic. That's why you'll never really see them go against. I mean, they'll take the land from the so-called Indians, but who did the land belong to before the so-called Indians? Who was here before the so-called Indians? You so-called black people were here before the Indians. So don't tell me about, how the land got taken from them. I'm not crying for those people, because they was working against you with the white man, the so-called Indians. The so-called Indians was working with the white man against you, and the Indians had slaves. And sometimes they was even worse to the so-called black people. Again, they all wanted the so-called black race as slaves, because again, it meant something to have you as a slave, because you were the most dominant people. It means something to have a so-called black person as a slave or a servant. That's why you'll see Caucasians with black butlers and things like that, or they have black women watching their children and whatnot like nannies, because again, you represent the strong and the dominant race of people. So of course they want you under subjection to them. They don't mean the same to have a white person under subjection as them. That's just one recessive person telling another recessive person what to do. They feel strong and they feel empowered if they can tell you what to do, if they can get control of you. You see? because they recognize that you are the most dominant people. And the whole thing has been to keep convincing you that you are inferior to them, when it's actually the other way around. It's actually the other way around. How the hell are people with the most dominant genetics going to be inferior to people who got the recessive genetic? But again, they had to convince you that you're black people, that they're white people, that you are people who are absent of light, you are absent of intelligence, that you don't know who you are, which is the case now. That has become the case. And y'all going to keep going back and forth with that. In fact, they've gotten certain black people, right, who are going to work to keep this dynamic going. And that's why I said I don't trust a lot of these niggas that's on YouTube talking about white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. You know what it really is? Almost like they're trying to drum that into the heads of the people so that you keep on keeping that so-called white supremacy thing going in your mind, looking at these people as greater than you. Why don't you just call it what it is? Don't call it white supremacy, call it pale degeneracy. Because the things you look up to from these Caucasians who are in control right now, I should say in charge, not in control, but in charge. The things you look up to them for, their way of doing things, how you see they govern society is really on a degenerate level. They control by way of degeneracy. They control by way of degeneracy. Their legal system is full of holes and is corrupt. Their legal system, right? It's corrupt. Again, they don't prosecute people the same way. Their legal system is not fair. It's corrupt. Their government system is corrupt, right? These people are morally bankrupt. They sitting around here allowing homosexuality, lesbianism, and child molestation, and as a sexual preference. That tells you right there. These people are degenerates. These humans are degenerates. It's not just the so-called white man, but these goddamn humans all together are degenerates. Now, you're not going to see these niggas that's supposed to be so black-powered and all. You ain't going to hear them say all that. You're not going to hear them say that. Why? Because they support pale degeneracy. They support it because they want to be like the white man. They want to be like the so-called white man, the pale man. They want to be like all these other races of people. This is why you can find these so-called black men following anything that has nothing to do with them. They'll sit up here and believe that they're African. There'll be Muslims. There'll be Christians. There'll be Israelites. There'll be all these things that are connected to the white man because they look up to the image of the beast. They look up to the image of the so-called white man. They worship his pale degeneracy. They want to be like him. They want to be like him. Even you so-called Israelites, you want to be like the white man because one minute you say, oh, the white man is the devil and he this, that, and the third, and he going into slavery. Then you turn around and say, but yeah, some white people are Israelites, but some of y'all could be Israelites though. Well, wait a minute. Either these people are they devils and they going into slavery like you say, then that means all of them. It don't mean because one of them might act like they cool with you and they like what y'all saying and they agree with you that they not going into goddamn slavery. Which one is it? See, y'all can't, again, that's that double-mindedness. Either they are going beneath you where they belong as the recessive genetic, or you going alongside of you, which is that equality thing, which I told you is no such thing as equality. But I also said in class yesterday that equality that you're seeking is really the want or the desire to sync up the black race with the white race, to create the gray race. That's really what you so-called black people been wanting. You see, and the white race has been resisting it, but they ain't got no other choice but to accept it now. That's why they pushing this. But they figured since they got to accept it, they would rather push the white man with the black woman. Because by pushing the white man with the black woman, they feel like they're going to still have some sort of control over the genetic. Because they know you are what your father is. They know that. They feel like they'll still have some control over the genetic by pushing the white genetic with the white man with the black woman. They're not going to do it the other way around with the so-called black man with the white woman. They're not going to do it that way. So that's your desire to mesh in the future, mesh with this so-called white race and the rest of the humans. So you are creating the gray race, right? But again, like I told you, it's not even natural for us as that dominant race of people to be under subjugation or subjection of these recessive people, these pale people. And I'm not just talking about the so-called white man. I'm talking about all these humans, because this is not a black and white thing. This is an Amenic and a human thing. This is an Amen thing and a human thing. We're not supposed to be under the human race. We're supposed to be over the human race, as the Amen race, as the first projected beings here on earth, the dominant race, the ones who come in many different tones, the ones who come in many different tones, the ones who are in an extended state, ones who come in many different elemental states, many different elemental tones and states. Not people of color. We are not people of color. We are elemental personifications here on earth. This is why we come in many different complexions and tones. We're not a colored people. We're not a people of color. Color has to do with mental faculty and capability. We are people or persons of elemental stature and extension. This is who we are as a dominant race of people. We are elemental beings, not colored people, not black people. We are elemental beings. We don't have a skin color. We don't have a skin color. Our skin is not brown. The Mexicans and the East Indians got brown skin. We don't have the same skin as them. Our skin is different, as you can see, between a so-called black person and a Mexican and an East Indian who got so-called brown skin. But like I said, you could tell it's not the same. The difference is our skin tone is an elemental tone. Theirs is color. We are element. We are elements. We are precious elements. Metals. This is what we are. Metals to the mental. And mental to the metal. Mental beings. So notice that we are of that higher frequency, that higher tone, that higher reception. We are the dominating genetic, because when we mix with these people, we weaken our genetic. We making our genetic weaker when we mix with these people, with these humans, these Caucasians, these East Indians, these Asians, these goddamn humans. Every time we mix our seed with them, we making our genes weaker. But they have convinced you to weaken your genes. That's, again, that shows you that they had to get you to get control of your mind to weaken your genetic. They don't want your genetic strong. And you notice when your children are coming out now, they taking your children from all over the planet, and they trying to make sure they degenerate your children, make your children degenerates, follow their image and after their likeness. Like I said, this order is off, but it's not going to get into alignment until the dominant mindset, the dominant mentality comes back into the dominant people, the most dominant people on the planet, which is your bronze race. Your bright race, your bronze race are the most dominant people on the planet. But they falsely being called black people. Who called you black people? Answer, white people. They called you black people. Is your skin black? Absolutely not. Is your skin brown? Absolutely not. Are you what they are? Absolutely not. Just look. All you got to do is look. There's nothing to believe. It's nothing to really, think about other than the fact that you just got to look. Of course, there's thinking involved, but seeing is not believing. Really looking and seeing is to get you to think and to know that you're not like these people. You're not like them. They're not like you. There's a reason why that you are hated universally all over the planet. When you have done nothing to these people, you're hated by everybody. Your presence is hated by everybody, from the East Indians who don't like you. But like I said, the East Indians are supposed to be the same complexion as you. They're supposed to be dark like you, right? Why do they hate you? You go over to India, they don't like you. These East Indians don't like you. These Asians don't like you. These Caucasians definitely don't like you. You understand that? These Mexicans are not your people. They don't like you. Why? Because they all in alignment with the white man. They all got the same recessive genetics. They all got the same animal fur. They was all created in the water on this planet. They're not from any place higher. There's no white aliens coming that created nothing. That was our ascendants. We was the first ones projected here. But see, y'all don't want to know that reality. You don't want to accept that reality. You want to still keep looking to the so-called white man. But eventually, like I said, he's going to start telling you the truth. He's going to start admitting everything I'm telling you. He's going to start acknowledging as real, as the truth, as the reality. The dominant are supposed to hold the power. The dominant are supposed to hold the power. And he's trying to make you recessive over time. This is why he's making your young men, a bunch of homosexuals. By making your young men homosexuals, he's making them recessive in their genetic material. He's creating beta males and making them recessive in their genetic material. The real alpha men on this planet is your so-called black men, aka your bronze men. That's really what you are, bronze men. You are the real dominant genetic on this planet. You are the real alpha men on this planet when you're in your right state of mind. And they know that. They know that. Ask them why when the police come to you and they hunting you down and whatnot, they need a whole bunch of them. They consider you to be hard targets. They consider everybody else to be soft targets. They'll go to a white person, pull over a white person by themselves. They ain't worried about them. When it comes to you, it's like 4 or 5 of them. They calling on the radio and whatnot, and they got their guns out and everything because they scared. They scared of you. It'll be just one of you in the car, maybe 2. It's 10 of them with their guns out. Because they recognize that you are dominant people, and they're scared. They scared. They stay up at night trying to figure out ways to destroy you, to break up your families, right? To kill you, to make all kinds of negative images of you and portray negative images to basically get you to hate yourself, to get your woman to go against you, to break down your power. This is what they spend time thinking up and doing. They come up in your neighborhoods and whatnot, and they constantly trying to feed on you in fear of you waking up and coming together as a collective people. This is why when y'all people wake up and come together as collective people, they call us a cult. They call you a cult because they're afraid that you're going to wake up and realize who you really are, and you're going to stop listening to them. You're going to stop listening to these recessive people. You understand? Telling you what you are. Setting you up so that they can keep you under them, so they can keep drawing the energy and power from you. Keep telling you, you black people. Keep telling you Negroes. Keep telling you Africans, you came from the jungle and was swinging in the jungle like monkeys. Keep you following they fake religions and they fake gods and fearing they fake devils. You following the mindset of recessive people, wearing their names, wanting to mix your seed with them, believing that you just like them. When they let you know every day, ever since you came in contact with them, that you're not what they are. They trying to tell you that you're lesser than what they are, but in reality, they know you're greater than who they are. They know that you're greater than what they are. The guy who made the movie Get Out, that might have went over a lot of you people's heads when he made the movie Get Out. The white people wanted to be inside of your so-called black bodies, inside your bronze bodies. They wanted to get out of their pale recessive genetic material and take their mental and put it inside of your dominant genetic mindset. And it's put it inside your dominant genetic bodies. They wanted to have your dominant genetics. They want your dominant genetics. In other words, they want to be you. They want to be you. They just want to take their minds and put it inside of and put their minds inside of your bodies. They don't like their pale skin. They don't like their animal fur hair. They don't like their dog hair. And they don't like their pale skin. But they got to get you to believe that's beautiful. They got to get you to believe that recessive genetic is beautiful, and y'all fell for it. And you black people, simple as you are, gonna keep falling for it. You're gonna keep believing in something called white supremacy when it's nothing but pale degeneracy. When you unmask white supremacy, it's nothing but pale degeneracy. That's all it is. Okay, we back, and I'm sorry. I dropped the call by mistake. That wasn't blocked. That was me. I apologize. Let me take a quick call. 917, you're on the air. 917. 917, you're on the air. Okay, nothing from 917. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Am I coming in clear? All right. Yeah, so they done got you to accept that. You see, they've been playing a mind trick on you. They've been playing a mind game on you. And again, like I said, they tell you so-called black females that your hair looks better like that to mimic after the image of recessive people. And y'all mimic after the image of recessive people. They got y'all actually wanting these white males to lay down with. They got you wanting white males to lay down with that pale degenerate seed. They want you to lay down with these recessive genetics, with this dog hair, this animal fur. They got you already mentally. They got this, you so-called black people. Some of y'all just going to remain black people. You're going to remain in darkness, and you're going to always worship the image of the white people. You're going to worship the image, that pale degenerate seed. You're going to keep on worshiping that. There's nothing that can be done for a lot of you. They already got the minds of our people already. The so-called black. That's why I said the so-called black race, they gone, man. They dead. They're going to always worship the image of the beast. And that image of the beast is not just the white man. It's all these humans, man. It's these East Indians, these Asians, these Caucasians, these Arabs. All of them are the seed of the beast, man. They're part of the creation. They're the animal genetic. That's what the beast is. That's the animal genetic, which is why they grow that fur out of their head, that dog hair. Y'all going to keep worshiping that genetic. But again, like I said, they feared a time where some of our people would start waking up and coming together. They feared that time because that would be the rise of the dominant genetic. I told you everything on this planet would start to auto-correct itself. Even the rulership on this planet would start to auto-correct, automatically correct itself, because everything is out of order. Everything is out of natural order and alignment. Recessive people have no place being in power nowhere on the planet. They're supposed to be beneath the dominant genetic. I want y'all to think on that. Think on it good. We'll be right back. As long as you remain black people, and I told you all before, that whole black thing is played out, man. That whole black thing, that whole African thing, that whole Moorish thing, all that stuff is played out, man. All that's played out. Why? Because these are terminologies that the white man gave you, the so-called white man. Right? And again, I told you before, the white man, the white race is not just the Caucasians. The white race is the entire human race. The white race is the entire human race. And the only ones that's not part of the white race is you so-called black people. You're not a part of it. You don't know what you're a part of. But you, because they done told you that you're black people, people in darkness, people who ignorant, people who don't know anything, of course you want to be like the people who are white. AKA because white equals light. And black equals that which is absence of light. Black equals that which is absence of light, meaning absence of intelligence, movement, knowledge of who you really are, knowledge of self. Because the knowledge of self is that we not know black people. That's not no knowledge. That's false knowledge that you got from the so-called white man when he calls you black people. Your skin is not black. You're not brown people. You're bronze people. You're bronze race. And like I say, even that devil Abraham Lincoln, that beast, he knew you was bronze people. That's why and the white man know y'all bronze people. That's why when they put Abraham Lincoln on the penny, they put him on the penny, and turned his face into the other direction from all the other presidents, because they know that, they didn't like the fact that he freed the so-called slaves. So that's what he's remembered for. So they put him on a penny, which is supposed to be the money that's supposed to be least value in the money system. The penny. And the reason why it's brown like that and not like the other, silver, or have that silver look like the rest of the coins, is because that bronze metallic look represents you so-called black people, man. See, that went right over your head. That went right over your head. You see? You allow these people to call you black people, aka absent of light, ignorant. You don't even know why they calling you black people. You don't even know why. Or why they call themselves white people. Y'all don't even get that. You see? It don't face in the same direction as, like I said, it don't face in the same direction as everybody else. Again, this is the biggest deception, man. This is the biggest deception. They got you to believe that they supreme to you. They got you to believe that they superior to you, when in actuality, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. Not because I'm saying that. I'm saying it because we the first people here. We the first people on the planet. So the prime people, the first people, are the supreme people. Because everything else comes from us. Everything else comes after us. Everybody comes after us. So of course we got to be the supreme people on the planet. Of course we got to be the prime people on the planet. Of course we the number one people on the planet. But we're not going to be that as black people. We will never be that as black people. Bronze race. We are the bronze race. Or should I say we are bronze people. The bright people are the bright race. We are the bright race. We're the bronze people, but those on the higher are of the bright race. But as a collective whole, on the whole entire planet, we the bronze race. Now, unfortunately, some of you have become black over time, meaning that you have accepted these ideas of the so-called white man, that you are black people, that you African, that you a Negro, and all these false these false identities from the so-called white man and these other people, telling you from Africa and you African and you came from nothing, you was in the trees swinging around, but they ain't gonna tell you where all these civilizations came from before the so-called white man. They're not gonna tell you that. They'll try to claim it came from somebody else. They still up here trying to say that the Egyptians were white people or Asian people. They're going to just straight lie about your history because they don't ever want you to find out anything. They don't want you to know that all the prototype for everything that's here came from us first. That we were the foundation that everybody built on. And they still building on top of you. They still taking what's yours. And you give them what's yours because you think that you're supposed to do that, because when you give something over to them, when they take something from you, you think that they got the right to do that because they greater than you, because you black and they white. And again, white equals light. Black is absence of light. Equals light, and black is absence of light. Don't let these niggas tell you, oh, black is supreme and black is powerful. They don't believe that. They don't believe that. The people that preach that black is power and black is supreme, if that's the case, then why y'all following the white man then? Why y'all wearing his names? Why is he teaching y'all and not the other way around? Why are you sending your children to his schools if you believe that you supreme and that you greater than him? Why are you going to him for the one of all things if you believe you supreme? Why are your children in his schools? Answer, because you don't believe that you are supreme people. You don't believe that. You don't believe that you supreme people. Why can't y'all come together? Because again, if you all really saw yourselves as supreme people want to come together. It's only people who see themselves as inferior. It's only those who see themselves as inferior who want to be separate from each other, who want to be individuals. Because if y'all really saw yourself as supreme people, y'all would want to come together. Supremacy want to be around more supremacy. But y'all don't see yourself that way. You so-called black people don't see yourself that way. Y'all would rather get amongst the white people in the other nations and whatnot and make yourselves feel greater. You would rather be amongst them. That's why you'll go and be Muslims and whatnot, and you'll attach more to the so-called Arab. You'll attach more to the Arab culture than trying to have any real culture or any real existence of your own. This is why people, the so-called Muslims, they'll say, "Oh, the Nation of Islam, they not no real Muslims." You know what I'm saying? But the Arabs are real Muslims. In other words, anything that's not what you consider not black, anything that's not black is better to you in your mind. Anything that's not black is better to you in your mind because they pushed that in you and they told you black is the lowest. Black is the lowest. Black is the most degraded state. So again, y'all believe that. So again, that don't match up with this idea that you believe that black people are supreme. Y'all don't believe that. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't think that's true at all. You believe what the white man told you. You believe that you're inferior. Your woman thinks that your woman thinks she inferior. She thinks she inferior to the white woman. That's why she want to wear her hair on top of her head. Because again, your hair represents your crown. And if you were to put somebody else's crown on top of your head, then that means that you consider their crown to be more superior than your crown. So you black females can miss me with this nonsense about, oh, it's just a hairstyle and we can wear our hair in any way. That's a load of BS, man. That's a load of BS. That is a load of BS. You see that? That chick that was on what's that horrid looking black female, the one who online, what's her name? Cheryl Underwood. You know, Cheryl Underwood, the coonstress. You know, Cheryl Underwood. She said, really, a lot of black females. Y'all got on Cheryl Underwood, but Cheryl Underwood was actually telling the truth about how you black females feel. When she had she was talking about how good hair is the white woman hair, that's good hair. Basically that dog hair, that animal hair. The dog hair is good hair, and who want nappy hair? Nobody, you can't do nothing with that afro woolly nappy hair. You know, basically dissing the dominant crown of the bronze men and the bronze women, basically disrespecting the crown of our people, the dominant crown of our people, the woolly hair, for some dog hair of the white woman. She want the dog hair of the white woman on her head. That's what she want. And a lot of people got on her about that. But the thing is, that's how you black females feel. The ones who you wearing these blonde wigs on your head, the ones who perming your hair, the ones who trying to make your hair look like these Caucasians and these humans. You don't like your natural hair. You think there's something wrong with your natural hair. That's how y'all feel. She only said what y'all all feel anyway deep down inside. And you niggas who want these white females or these black females or these mixed females with softer or dog-like more stringy hair, you going after these Arab females, these Caucasians, these Indian females, and again that show you Israelites are a bunch of coons too, man. You Israelites are a bunch of coons too, because you claim that that Jacob is supposed to be the strongest, the leader of the tribe. Then how is it that you don't want your Jacobite woman? How is it that you don't want your Jacobite woman? How that don't even match what y'all saying? You want the women, you want white women. You'll take Asian women, you'll take Arab women, you'll take all kinds of races of women and mix your seed with those women. You won't take your own so-called Jacob woman, or whatever you call her, your Israelite woman, and you don't want to mix with her. You're talking about, because she act like this, that, and the. They don't all act like that, but really, like I said, y'all a bunch of coons and sambos, because you know different than the niggas that worship the image of the beast, man. You don't want your own woman. You want the women from the other so-called nations, the human race. You want them with the dog hair. Because in your mind, that dog hair is better than that recessive dog hair, that recessive animal hair is better than your dominant hair. That recessive dog fur that they call hair that recessive dog fur is better than your dominant genetic. Your dominant hair that's growing up in the air, that's growing up toward the heavens, growing up toward the fourth dimension. You don't want that hair. That hair is nappy. That hair is ugly. There's something wrong with that. It's too dominant. That's supposed to be the hair of the Most High. That's the hair of the Most High. The Most High gave you the most dominant genetics to show you who the dominant people on the planet are supposed to be. And they gave the recessive genetic to those who are supposed to be the recessive people, who are supposed to be following behind the dominant genetic. Everything is out of order right now. Everything is out of order. You understand that? Everything is out of order. Because you got it out of order. You allowed it to be out of order. You understand that? You got your women wanting to mix their seed with the damn humans, with these two-legged animals. And again, they could sit up here and say, "Oh, this is racist what you saying," but your own Caucasian scientists say that you white people are recessive, you humans, y'all, that hair stuff is recessive. They said it out their own mouth. They saying this out their own mouth. I'm only repeating what your scientists said about your genetic. They know your genetic better than you. They know your genetic better than anybody else. They said that you're recessive, and they said we were dominant. And again, it makes logical sense, because again, our hair is growing up strong. Our skin is darker. It has that carbon coating and tone to it. Our genetic material is strong. There's a reason why you got us playing your sports, your football, your basketball, all the things that we better at than y'all, and even your tennis and your golf. And if we get in your hockey, all of that is a reason why you got us playing in your sports. You say so-called black people are the minority in this country, but we make up the majority of the sports that you Caucasians go and watch, and all you other humans go and watch. Because you look at us, when you see the so-called black men flying through the air, slamming basketballs through the hoops and running down the football field. You understand that? You know that they dominant men. You know those are men and dominant women. And what do you want to do? You want to weaken that. You don't like that dominant masculinity from the so-called black man, a.k.a. the bronze man, because again, this is why you're going so hard to make young black boys wear dresses and turn them into homosexuals, because you got to start with the strongest genetic, the dominant genetic, and you got to weaken that. That's really what that's about. And they'll get these weak niggas to help promote that from you. They'll get these weak niggas to promote it. They on board with it. They got to start with the strongest and dominant genetic, and they got to weaken that. That's what they doing. You ain't seeing them pushing no little white boys wearing no dresses, or no little Arab boys wearing no dresses, or no Asian. How come every time you turn around, it's little black boys little so-called black boys wearing dresses? Will Smith's son walking down a damn runway with a dress on. How come you don't see Justin Bieber doing that? They ain't gonna tell him to do that. Why you don't see these white boys wearing dressing like that, walking down the runway wearing dresses? You don't see them making their children put on dresses in school. You don't see that. You might hear about one case once in a blue, but the focus is on you so-called black boys because they are the dominant, and they don't want that dominant genetic being raised up. You understand that? They don't want that being raised up because over time the dominant genetic becomes even stronger. The dominant genetic becomes even stronger. So they got to try and weaken it. They got to turn you into a homosexual. They got to promote this beta maleism. They got to push the black female with the white man. They got to do all of these things to stop the rise of that bronze genetic, that dominant genetic from extending itself. They got to figure a way to stop that. That's why they doing all this. That's why they pushing this. That's really what this is all about. Because they know you're the dominant. In order for you to have control of everything on this planet, you got to break down the dominant genetic. To stay in charge, I should say. The only way to stay in charge is to break down the dominant genetic. Keep it from extending into a higher state. That's what they doing. That's what this whole Dwayne Wade's son wearing a damn dress, he want to be a transgender, little black boys in damn dresses, making these black males that they was promoting this thing like Michael Jackson and Prince put on damn makeup and look like women and all this madness. They told them to do that, man. They were told they have to do that. You understand that? Had Lenny Kravitz walking down the street with a damn dress on. Their whole thing is emasculate you so-called black men because you so-called black men represent the dominant genetic. You represent the dominant genetic, not them. They represent the recessive genetic, and that's all these humans. The white man, the Arab man, the East Indian man, the Asian, all of them represent the recessive genetic. They women too. And you bronze women, you want to be in the image of they women. You want to have hair like they women. You paying money to put they nasty dog-ass hair on top of your head. They nasty animal hair on top of your head. That East Indian hair, that dog hair. And you don't think nothing wrong with that. That's just a hairstyle to you. And when y'all talk like that, y'all too far gone. You just gotta let them go, man. They too far gone, man. When the black female talking that madness and she talking, oh, it's just a hairstyle. When she trying to justify putting somebody's dog fur on top of her head as a crown or mixing her seed with one of these beast people, like I said, they too far gone, man. Or the black male, he want to justify that. Let them go, man. Let them go. Like I said, for a lot of these people, it's just too late, these so-called black people. They're always going to be in that state of dementia. I might as well call it dementia, man. And maybe the bronze ones of our people will wake up to this. But for black people, they'll listen to this if they hear this, and it'll sound like nonsense to them. But again, that's why I said what I teach is not for black people, because they too far gone, man. The ones who are weak-minded, who have less memory, they have already accepted that they are black people and that they belong under white people. And they will always look to white people for their light, for their information, for their education, for their training, for the one of all things, even for their self-esteem. Even for their self-esteem, because they love black people with low self-esteem. They love when you call yourself black people, you say you come from Africa. They love when you have low self-esteem. They love that. That's how they're able to feed off of you. They feed off of black people and their low self-esteem. Just by the mere fact that you're calling yourself black people shows that you have low self-esteem, because what is black people? What is that? What is black people? What is that? That is nothing. That is nothing. That is nothing. Oh, we African American. What is Africa? What is that? That is nothing. That is nothing. They give you nothing, and you trying to make something out of that. Just like when they had some of our people in slavery, they give you all kinds of filthy foods, all kinds of pig, all kind of pig, and all kind of cornbread and all kind of garbage to eat like animals. They give you animal food to eat in slavery, and y'all call it soul food. You try to make it soul food. You calling it soul food. They give you garbage, and you trying to make something out of it, and you proud of what they give you. They give you their slave names, and y'all proud of the slave names that y'all still wear to this day. Still proud of your slave names. That's my family name. No, nigga, this is your slave name. Parker, Johnson, Williams, whatever. Jefferson, Washington, whatever. That's your slave names. That's your slave names. You ain't trying to change those names. You don't want no identity of your own. Even you wearing the Muslim names, Muhammad. You understand? All that. Now, like I said, no shot at Donald Elijah Muhammad. No, they didn't know any better, but at least they tried to change to something, instead of wearing the slave name. But the Arabs had your people in slavery too. We don't follow behind the humans, man. We don't follow behind them. We don't wear none of their names. We don't follow their ways. You understand? You take the scraps off the beast's table, man. You take the scraps off his table. You want to follow his false gods, his Allahs, his Jehovah's, his Jesus, all of his false religion. Where in his religions, you are second. You are second. You are inferior. You are following him. And again, a person, how is it that dominant people are going to follow recessive people? Tell me, does that make sense? How do dominant people with dominant genetics, follow recessive people? How do we follow recessive people? How do we sit up here and look to them to tell us anything? To teach our children? To lay with us? How do we allow that? Answer, because they convince you that you black people. How do you bronze women, you give up your dominant hair, your dominant genetics, mix your seed, want to wear fur on top of your head, dog hair on top of your head, like again, and calling that hair dog fur. You want to pay thousands of dollars to put dog hair on top of your head. You want to pay thousands of dollars to take hair from some East Indian, some Arab women and sew it into your head. Some dirty, nasty animal hair with lice in it that they got to treat for lice before they give it to you. Sometimes they don't even treat it for lice. They just give it to you niggas and you put it on your head. You want to bleach your skin. You want to put acid on your skin and bleach your skin to be lighter, to be more recessive. You don't want to be proud of your dominant genetics. You want to have recessive genetics. You understand that? What's that, Serena Williams? Here it is. She's a dominant woman playing the tennis and whatnot. But like I said, what the beast told her, if you want to keep on making it out here, you got to get with a recessive. You got to get with a beast. You got to get with the beast man. You got to mix your seed with a beast. You got to get with a beast man. You got to get with a human. You got to have a little mulatto. You got to weaken your genetic. You either got to be a lesbian or you got to weaken your genetic. Anything to stop your dominant genetic. And that's just what she did. And now the girl, Lupita Nyong'o, talking about she a lesbian now. Because they tell all you so-called black women that if you want to stay on the set, you can't be with no black man. Because she was with a so-called black man before that. Now all of a sudden she a lesbian. The actress Lupita Nyong'o, the one who Harvey Weinstein, she's saying that he sexually assaulted her. You see? This are things that you so-called black females got to go through. Because you want to follow the image of the beast. You want to follow the recessive, pale genetic of the beast. You want to be like them. They telling you, oh, you can't be with a bronze man. You got to either be with a white man, a pale recessive man, or you got to be a damn lesbian. That's what they telling y'all. And they tell you so-called black men, you can't be, and you're going to have to promote homosexuality or be homosexual or come out as homosexual for them to keep promoting you. That's what they tell you. That's what you got a little Nas X and all these niggas who out here letting their sons wear dresses. They tell you in order to keep getting that money, in order to keep getting their filthy lucrosite, you got to follow the ways of pale degeneracy. You got to follow the ways of pale degeneracy. You understand that? They ain't doing that on their own. They being told to do that. They being told that if you want to keep getting this money, you want to be in the limelight, you gotta promote homosexuality, you gotta promote pale degeneracy. That's why you had Charlemagne the Coon sitting up here giving DJ Envy a cast of his ass and his balls hanging down, talking about kiss my ass, all that gay stuff, that homosexual stuff, because he was told to do that. You understand that? He was told to do that. Charlemagne the Coon from the Breakfast Club. He's told to do that. He's a hired paid nigga because they want these they want the so-called black man They want you to follow pale degeneracy. They want to show, they want to break down your dominant, they want to break down your dominant mind frame. They want you like them. They want you open to sexual fluidity and all that madness. In other words, they want you to weaken yourself in order to be around them. You have to lessen yourself while they strengthening themselves with your so-called black woman. While they having a way, they filthy way with your woman, putting a filthy seed inside of your woman, and she up here opening her legs up for it. That just goes to show you. You see? And like I said, y'all all on board for it. Y'all not in your right state of mind. You're not in your right state of mind. Because if you was in your right state of mind, you wouldn't be going around calling yourself black people. You wouldn't want to mix your seed with these people. None of these humans. That go for the white, the Asian, the East Indian, the Arabs, anybody with the dog fur. Or these black females who want to worship that image. You bronze men who make sure you got you a good bronze woman who only want to be with bronze men. Not a black female who open to race mixing. She'll tell you, I could be with you, or I could be with a white guy. You can't help who you love. That's the inferiority talking. That's the indoctrination from the recessive pale genetic talking through her. That's the white man talking through her. That's the white man talking through her. Get rid of her black ass. If she ain't got no problem with mixing, we all the same. Like I said, she's under that illusion. Get rid of her black ass. Or you get a black male who talking like that. You think you got a bronze man? Or I could be with a white woman. Or I could be with an Arab woman or Indian woman. You know, we free to be. Yeah, okay, that's right. You are free to be who you want. So free that nigga and let him go be lay with the recessive genetic, with the beast people. Free that nigga. Let him be free to go do that. Let her be free to go do that. Let the nigga woman go who want to put the dog hair on top of her head. Who want to put the animal fur on top of her head, like the humans. She want to follow after the image of the humans. She don't want to walk in the image of Amen. She want to follow after the humans. She want to follow their way. In the beast she trusts. In Amen she don't trust. In the beast she trusts. She want to follow that for her daughter. She want her daughter to follow in that way. You see? Because I say a lot of you so-called black people, like I said, being with a so-called black person nowadays is no different than being with a white person now. That's why I said you gotta raise the bar and get you a bronze man or a bronze woman, man. Because it's all about that bronze supremacy, man. It's all about that. And those who are even on a higher level, the brighter bronze race. Because we represent the brighter bronze race. We are bronze people of the bright race. We are bronze people of bright ascent. Us Mentalians. The Mentalians. We are bronze people of bright ascent. We are bronze people of the bright race. Some of y'all just bronze people. And then you got the black people. We ain't messing with the black people. We ain't dealing with the black race. They gone. They belong to the white man. He put time and effort into creating black people. Mentally dead people. You understand? Who still, no matter what you tell them, these niggas still gonna believe their skin is black. They still gonna believe, black and white together or black and white against each other. They still gonna be pushing that same narrative, man. And they about to get their wish too, because again, the white man gonna mesh all the black and white together into the gray race. That's gonna come. That's already happening. So let me go ahead and read these questions before we get out of here. Like I said, yesterday was a good class. We'll have another good one this month. And like I said, I'm going to be in Canada in March. I'm going to be in Canada in March for the bright ones of my people. Like I said, we ain't interested in dealing with the black race. If you black, don't come to my conference. We don't want no black people at the conference. All right. What is white supremacy or pale degeneracy? White supremacy is this idea that you niggas got in your mind about these Caucasians. You look at them as supreme. Again, I couldn't even fix my mouth to say white supremacy. I call it what it really is: pale degeneracy. And I'm not interested in trying to follow after pale degeneracy. There's no such thing as white supremacy. That's only in the minds of you so-called black people. But the bronze people, the brighter people, we see it for what it is. It's pale degeneracy. You got a lot of pale people who are in charge right now, a bunch of pale degenerates who are in charge now. And that's not just, like I said, that's the whole human race. You got a whole lot of pale degenerates in charge right now. And no, we don't want to be like them. We waiting for their time to run out. And the only reason why their time is still going is because we refuse to get our ass in line, man. We got to get ourselves in order and raise ourselves in the name of Amen for this thing to start evolving into where we come into the seat of power going forward. We got to get our minds right. We ain't got to go through no takedown and no violent thing with them. No, we don't need all that. Let them stay in charge for now. Because that pale degeneracy is going to run out. And like I said, a lot of you niggas keep that whole supremacy idea going. When it's just really what it is. Because the only way they in charge, they rule through fear, intimidation, lies. Because when you got to rule through fear, intimidation, and judge and lies and whatnot, and promoting false narrative, you're not really powerful. Because the real people who are powerful are the people who lead dominantly through the truth and through reality. And that's going to be the bright race coming up. Who upholds pale degeneracy as white supremacy? Black people do. You simple-minded black people. You uphold white supremacy. And again, I said white supremacy is just not the Caucasians. It's not just them. It's the Asians. It's the East Indians. Because your so-called Chinese, they think they white too, and they are white. Like this sister said one time, if you ain't black, you white. That was her way of saying it. In other words, they go for these so-called Mexicans, these East Indians, these Asians, these Caucasians. They all white, man. They not our people, man. They all got the same dog hair. That's why you see these a lot of these so-called Latino cops, they'll get right with the white man. These Mexicans, they'll get right with the white man because they all got that same dog fur. They'll accept them. The East Indians, they white too, man. They right with the white man. The white man don't got no problem with them. Do white people really believe in white supremacy? No. They got to get you to believe that. They don't believe that. They really trying to push white superiority. But in order for white superiority to work, they got to convince you that you are black inferior. You are black and inferior. They got to convince the dominant people that you inferior. And obviously it doesn't work. Can this ever be overcome? Yeah, it can. Through the bright race. You black people, just forget about it, man. Y'all done. I'm not even talking to y'all. Y'all persona non grata, man. I'm not even talking to you. Y'all niggas are done, man. Niggas like Charlemagne the Coon, those people represent the black race today. These niggas will do anything for some money and acceptance from the white man and that white establishment. They'll bend over, be gay, do whatever they tell you to do. What does this mean to our people in the future? Reality and supremacy. Reality and supremacy, that's what it means. And that's what we about here. Again, this ain't about racism. This is about reality, and this is about the evolution of our people and the intelligence of our kind. And that's it. Join me. We're going to close on the name of Amen by the power of Amen. In Amen we trust, in Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. Hail Amen, hail the Mentalians. I am the intellectual NUBEN MENKARAYZZ. This has been Mentellect Radio. See y'all back here tomorrow night. Good night.
Rising out the black race to the bright race, out the black race to the bright race. Students public or Mentellect. Black race to the bright race. If it's hail Amen, then it's hail us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can